Hello fun people, I'm Isaac Carlson, and unfortunately across the city of St. Canard, thousands of criminals reign, but luckily the city has a shadowy protector who hunts them like a phantom in the darkness. There is a terror who flaps in the night known as Darkwing Duck, but what are his origins?
Come on, you nerds! Let's get dangerous!
Well, the winged scourge that pecks at nightmares actually doesn't have one unified backstory, but instead has origin stories that at times contradict depending on who tells the tale and which Darkwing Duck you are referring to. This was deliberately done by the original show creator Tad Stone to not only increase the humor of the character, but also make him more mysterious, which I think was very effective. In the original show and comic run, Darkwing Duck grew up as a junior woodchuck who was known as Drake Mallard. As a child, he was actually a scared kid who was bullied and was actually roped into a robbery by a boy whose family ran a gang. With the intervention of a time-traveling Darkwing Duck, though, the future version of himself inspired the young Drakey to live dangerously and become like the superheroes that he read about in comic books. Through his older self, Drakey came to understand the importance of the element of surprise and was taught the power of courage, confidence, and a clean cape, leading him to internalize that he could be a hero.
I am the toddler that naps in the night.
The first criminals Darkwing Duck ever stopped was all done through the assistance of his older self, or so we are led to believe in that backstory. Later, we are led to believe that his big inspiration to become a hero was not himself, but instead was Derek Blunt, an eagle who is known as the greatest agent in the history of Shush. And in another tale, Drake Mallard was a normal duck until Elmo Sputterspark, who would eventually become the villainous Megavolt, threatened Drake's senior prom. To stop Megavolt and show everyone that he was able to fight off villainy, he used a disguise paired with his prom tux to escape his reputation as Drake the Dweeb. In a matter of moments, Drake was able to become someone who could conquer the fear of a dark moonless night. And while the name was a bit more difficult to come up with on the fly, eventually he knew who he was. He was Darkwing Duck. With that known, he defeated Megavolt and rose to become a hero all of his classmates would remember. But there are times where Darkwing Duck claimed that he became a superhero after he was a teenager. At some point, Darkwing was said to have trained to understand the art of quack fu under Master Goose Lee. But of course, Darkwing is a superhero, so he has to have an origin story where he comes from another planet. Truly, Darkwing Duck's backstory is as confusing as growing up in the early 2000s with Quack Pack, Darkwing Duck, the Mighty Ducks, and Mighty Ducks the Animated Series. At such a young age, it was so difficult for me to understand who all these ducks were. In his extraterrestrial origins, Darkwing was born on a planet named Zipton, but it was destroyed accidentally by Darkwing's father. Luckily, Darkwing was able to escape the destruction in a rocket that inevitably landed him on Earth. The young Darkwing landed in a monastery, where he was said to have trained as a baby in Kung Fu until he set out on his own into the desert. There he eventually met a genie who gave him cola, new clothes, and the secret to the smoking genie's entrance. But he only became a hero when he met Launchpad McQuack and a hero known as the mysterious masked Avenger of Evil. That's when the alien duck realized he needed to fight some bad guys. Even more wildly though, there's an episode where it's revealed the characters of Darkwing Duck are actually actors on a television show. We are shown a story where Darkwing Duck is fighting to keep his show alive against executives, and it's episodes like that from the original Darkwing Duck and DuckTales where I truly understand where a lot of the wacky and meta humor comes from in the new DuckTales.
That's the trouble with television today. There's never anything good on.
But the origin stories don't even stop there. Continuing off this crazy Darkwing Duck episode in the DuckTales reboot continuity, which is the way I was truly introduced to the character, instead of Darkwing being an actor in a show that he was aware we were watching in real life, Darkwing Duck was a fictional star of a superhero television show within Duckburg, who was played by a duck known as Jim Starling. In this world, Drake Mallard grew up as a fan of Jim's Darkwing Duck character, in a similar way to how he was said to have looked up to superheroes and secret agents, to the point where he became a superfan who was comparable to the extremely dedicated Launchpad. He had collectibles and knowledge of every episode and was inspired by the message of the show to fight for what was right and to always get back up. Drake eventually grew up to get the part of Darkwing in a movie, much to Jim Starling's dismay, which led to the two ducks brawling, destroying Scrooge's movie studio, and forcing the production of the film to be stopped. But with Launchpad's support and gadgets provided by the brilliant Fenton Crackshell, Drake decided that he would become a crime fighter and donned the mantle of Darkwing Duck.
You know, you could do this for real. What, be a superhero? I mean, sure, I'm scrappy, I'm brave, I look great in the cape.
Gizmo Duck does it.
I am better than Gizmo Duck.
But regardless of what turned the ordinary Drake Mallard into Darkwing Duck, he established his family and his legacy as a hero when he faced the notorious Taurus Bulba. Originally, Bulba was a crime boss who attempted to steal a top-secret anti-gravity beam cannon called the Ramrod. But in DuckTales, Bulba was a lead scientist who worked for Scrooge McDuck and helped construct a device that could alter and manipulate reality that was also called the Ramrod. The true inventor of these devices, though, was Professor Thaddeus Waddlemeyer, who was killed originally by Bulba's henchmen and was ripped out of his own dimension by the Ramrod in the other. Either way, his vanishing led to his granddaughter Gosalyn to be left alone until she came into contact with Darkwing Duck. In the first two iterations of this story, Darkwing and Gosalyn, along with the adventurous Launchpad, eventually come together to go after Taurus Bulba to stop him from using the Ramrod, which leads to Bulba being defeated, the Ramrod being destroyed, Darkwing stopping his first supervillain, and of course, Drake deciding to adopt Gosalyn as his daughter.
I don't know, I was wondering if you wanted to be my crime-fighting partner?
Really? I mean, yeah. I could stick around for that.
Sure, Darkwing would have his fits of ego and pride and did appreciate some fame along the way, but with his daughter and family guiding him, he was always prepared to do what was right and get dangerous. Fun people, make sure to subscribe and click the beautiful bell, and then click on another magical video in the description or on the screen, like my DuckTales playlist. Finally, as always, thank you to my patrons, thanks for watching, and have a magical day.